Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk once again about Madonna. Since I began reacting to Madonna's music, I've received a bunch of requests to react to her music videos as well, so today I'm going to react to her music videos for Like a Prayer, Bedtime Story, and Frozen. I chose these videos in particular because I wanted to take a look at her visuals from different eras and see how her vision evolved and changed over time, and because they were highly recommended and very well regarded not only on YouTube, but also in other publications and listicles that I found. Before I dive in, let me know in the comments down below what other Madonna music videos you'd like to see me react to. Check the description box for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, I've got my laptop down here. Let's start with Like a Prayer. Okay, so immediately I heard the choir in the background, the song's about to start, but I just wanted to note that she's on the run from the law, right? We have this burning object in the background, can't quite make it out, but then we had the burning cross and the slamming door. So to me, what that says is she's done something wrong. She's sinned. She feels like she's about to be locked out of heaven. This is her low point. I mean, just physically, she is on the ground. You cannot get lower, right? And maybe the video will see her climbing out of it. Okay, keen choice there. As she says, "I hear you call my name," we see what looks like a church. She has sinned, she is at her lowest point, and now church is calling her, the heavens are calling her. She wants to return to the right path. Oh wow, okay. I'm sorry to keep pausing, but my assumption here is that man was being arrested. We heard sirens in the background. She was running away from them. Maybe it was like a Bonnie and Clyde sort of situation, and now he's being, taken to the big house, and she's on her own, and she needs a sense of comfort, someone to look to. Sorry if the lighting is different. My light ran out of battery, even though I just charged it. I guess I didn't charge it long enough. Now, it looks like these idols, she now sees her partner's face in that figure, right? So we have this very clear parallel, just like in the song itself, between this religious devotion and this romantic devotion. Oh, okay. So just wanted to comment on what just happened. So she fell asleep in the church. There's this sort of feeling of, like, you watch like a crime movie. Like sometimes a church or a religious institution will take in a person like in their hardest time. And so what's happening is she has returned to church, fallen asleep. She had a moment to rest finally when she was on the run, and as she fell asleep, she had this dream where, like basically an angel or like a member of this gospel choir caught her and lifted her up. So she's literally being uplifted by this religious experience. Okay. So he left and now she has to fend for herself. Oh, okay. So, sorry. I believe that would be considered a stigmata. So it's a mark of like the crucifixion on someone's hands. So she now has been replaced like as the Jesus figure, right? Her partner, who was playing Jesus basically, has left her, and now she is in that role. She picked up the knife, she tried to go and fight, maybe fight for God, fight for herself, and she's being crucified. This could potentially be another, like in a lot of her music, a metaphor for her public life, right? She was on the run from the outside. She needed a place of comfort. That could be like running away from publicity or from public scrutiny. She goes and hides away, but she still has these signs of the crucifix on her, right? She has been crucified by the public and she cannot escape it. Oh. Okay, we're getting more backstory. She witnessed a murder, it looks like. Oh, you know what? This might actually have another social message. Here, it looks like her partner, potential partner, like he I think was supposed to be the Jesus stand-in too, so that's what I'm assuming, was racially profiled and blamed for this crime that he didn't commit, that a bunch of white men committed. So again, if he is this Jesus stand-in, then another metaphor for the crucifixion, for this public sacrifice, could be the treatment of Black Americans in the justice system. She's saying they are being crucified, they're being made an example of, like this sort of false judgment and persecution and prosecution. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes the burning crosses make sense too. I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but I've heard the song in full, of course, so I'm not like missing big moments. The burning crosses, of course, are a symbol of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan in the U.S., and they are known for intimidating and committing acts of violence against people of color and other marginalized groups. And one of the ways that they do that is by burning crosses, typically like near or on the property of the people who they are trying to intimidate. So the burning cross is not only this image of like a degradation of religious piety, but also of racial injustice. Okay. Oh, and he's behind bars. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Yep. Okay, there it is. Yep. And everything falls into place. Okay, wow. Yeah. You know what I really appreciate about the video, beyond, of course, its artistic merits? The song itself uses gospel music, which originated in Black communities in the US, right? And so in the video, she first of all had the gospel choir play an actual role in this story and in this message of being uplifted, but also she showed consciousness of racial issues and paid tribute to people who were wrongfully incarcerated, who were abused by the justice system, who were intimidated and harassed by racists, which then thematically supports the presence of gospel music in this song. I pretty much broke down all of my thoughts during the video, but I love the color palette. I love how surreal and ethereal it is. It really matches the song. I'm extremely impressed, not surprised though. The next one that I'm going to watch, of course, is Bedtime Story. Oh, weird, okay. This definitely feels 90s.
Today is the last day that I'm using words. Let's get unconscious on me.
Brief pause earlier on that sort of sci-fi screen, it said lucid, so the idea of a lucid dream then makes sense thematically with the song, where we don't typically conceive of dreams as a place of clarity. It's usually sort of steeped in metaphor and vagueness and fantasy, but the whole point of the song is about returning to a place of instinct, and dreams are very instinctual, so the idea of a lucid dream, of finding clarity in your unconsciousness, perfectly correlates to this song. Very cool. This is very odd. So sort of vaguely what this feels like is images of like generally like Eastern spirituality. Like we had what looked like meditation and these symbols of mysticism. I don't think anything is particularly explicit or picks up super directly from any one particular culture. But with Madonna's pantheist leanings, it makes sense that sort of spirituality and like unconscious instinctual embrace of connection are related. It also works because, at least on the surface, there's very little correlation logically between a lot of the things that are happening here, so things aren't supposed to make logical sense in the song or I guess in the video. Oh, okay.
Words are useless, especially sentences. How could they explain how I feel?
Okay, that makes sense. She was pregnant. This was that era. That is so bizarre. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Okay. 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 Lots to take in. So, she just gave birth to a bunch of white doves. She looks vaguely like Marie Antoinette, stepping on grapes. We had this, what looks like a psychic child, and then what looked like Arabic or a similar script on the floor. Obviously, I could not read it, so if you know what it says, please let me know. Like the stepping on grapes to me makes me think of making wine. Again, intoxication is another type of unconsciousness. She's talked a lot in her music about peace and unity. White doves are the image of peace and unity. Like this is so extremely 90s. It feels reminiscent of like The Matrix. Very odd, very intentionally odd, but I feel like it's almost collage-like in the way that it presents images. I'm deciding whether I should give myself time for my thoughts to coalesce or for like a light bulb to go off, but that also might fly contrary to like her intention behind this video, which if we're listening to the song is the absence of logic, so I'm just gonna let it happen to me.
How can I explain how I feel?
Did this come out before The Matrix or after? Because there's a lot of connections.
Let's get unconscious and inside.
Okay.
Consciousness.
So I believe on Bedtime Stories and on a bunch of her albums, she was preoccupied with being like an angel or a devil, right? She's like no one thing. So we had her being cradled by what looked like a figure of death, and then she floated in this white gown, and then there was this other character who had like their wings ripped off, looked like. So we do have these like Christian spiritual signifiers creeping in and possibly even disrupting this fantasy that she's in. I also like that they had Madonna on a screen with an audience because it's like I feel very called out.
And all that you ever learned.
No. Nuh-uh. Absolutely not. What was that movie that came out in like the 2000s with like a similar like promo image? Was it One Missed Call? Anyway, thanks, I hate it. No, I'm kidding. That's actually pretty cool.
Try to forget.
You're welcome. That was okay? So I just looked it up, and The Matrix came out about 5 years after this music video, which to me is mind-boggling, like all of the connections, because this is all about her escaping this like artificial digital world and embracing spirituality and connection and metaphor and symbolism and all of this richness and sensory overload. I mean, the image of the sunflower, she is blossoming in her unconscious, right? And like I also said, the randomness of the video also feels like it relates to free association or automatic thinking and very much correlates to the song's theme of instinct. I think there was enough going on that if I really wanted to, or if I, had enough tinfoil to make a hat, I would go back, take a look at each and every image, see like culturally where it derived from, how it related to every other image sequentially and spatially, and perfectly explain in a very set framework what everything means. But I really think that would not be in the spirit of the video. It's all about the vibes. It's vibes. It's pure. It's vibes, and it's feeling it and embracing it, and like, don't think about it too hard. Logic and reason, out the window. Of the two so far, definitely prefer Like a Prayer, but that one was very cool. Definitely more of a time capsule. I think whenever a music video, I mean, this is the general principle of like digital versus practical effects, right? When you rely too much on a style or a technology of a certain era, it's going to look more dated more quickly. So we had this video that was made, 5 years after Like a Prayer, and it definitely looks older, or it definitely announces its oldness more actively than Like a Prayer. But overall, it was super cool. The third and final music video I'm going to be taking a look at chronologically is Frozen. Okay, we've got this desolate landscape. These cool tones. It's all icy.
You're frozen when your heart's not open.
Definitely something mystical about this too. She's floating. This is fluttering in the wind.
When your heart's not open.
Mostly beauty shots so far. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Little sort of mirror image parallel there. I didn't know this before choosing these videos, but in Bedtime Story, she, was dressed in all white and gave birth to these white doves, and here she was dressed in all black and then burst into this cloud of looks like crows or maybe ravens. I think it's crows though. So whereas in Bedtime Story she was in this headspace of being a new mom and wanting to create peace and unity, here she's talking about a person who is doing the opposite, is self-centered. So of course we would have the opposite image. Okay. Another parallel, earlier in the Bedtime Story video, there was that like machine that had two screens that basically acted as Madonna's two heads, and here again there were two Madonnas. Make that three.
Now there's no point in placing the blame, and you should know I suffer the same. Love is a
Ooh,
bird,
ooh, what is that?
she needs to fly inside
Okay,
of
dog, interesting. That's cool, it's almost sculptural. This is very cool looking. Even if it's not loaded with as many images to pick apart, just visually it's very stunning. Okay, cool reverse shot there. That looked like Sanskrit. Anyone want to fill me in? It's really beautiful how the fabric sort of mirrors the landscape. Okay, very cool. Like I mentioned, not as much to pick apart. There was a smaller set of images, but all of them were stunning. The sense I got was of Madonna as this sort of spiritual guide, right? She had her hands, I believe, in what's supposed to be like an Om sort of position. She had that henna or something akin to it, and the Sanskrit, I believe, writing on her hands. And she basically embodied the earth, I think. The way that her dress sort of matched the flow of the land around her. She was sucking up this black liquid at the end. She transformed into these animals. So to me, there is supposed to be this sort of continuity among different living things, or of non-living but natural things, right? Alternatively, she could have been like an embodiment of like loneliness or of like an internal sickness, right? It was just her, me, myself, and I. We had the dark clothing. She was elevating herself. If we want to dive into what the animals she transformed into could be symbolically, crows are considered harbingers of death, but they also are very smart and community oriented, I guess. The dog didn't do a whole lot in the video, but it could just as easily be about companionship or about being like a lone wolf or a hunter. But in any case, it had this interesting balance of this tenderness and this ominousness that converged in what was both a very witchy and spooky video, but also very gorgeous. I also appreciate that she didn't go the obvious route and have literal ice in the video. That would have been a little bit too straightforward. I appreciate that she just evoked coolness through the color palette and through the jaggedness of these rock formations. So definitely more restrained than the other two videos, but still extremely successful. Overall, she's definitely a strong visual artist as well. I think Like a Prayer is still my favorite of these three videos, followed by Frozen. But I mean, if all of her videos are up to this quality, I'm going to be very excited to watch more of them. So like I said, please let me know in the comments down below what other Madonna music videos I should react to. Check the description for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.